Cyril Knowles was taken far too soon, and the heartbreaking revelation of a brain tumour made his story even more tragic. He was a legend on the pitch, but this was a battle he never saw coming. Despite everything, he faced it with strength, but sadly, it was a fight he couldn't win. In February 1991, Cyril Knowles received the devastating revelation that he had a brain tumour. Sadly, despite undergoing brain surgery, Knowles wasn't able to return to the job he loved. By the end of the season, it became clear that he wouldn't be able to continue, and Murray took over permanently. Knowles fought bravely, but the cancer proved too much. Tragically, he never recovered, and on August 30th, 1991, at just 47 years old, he passed away. It was a heartbreaking end for a man who had given so much to football, leaving behind a legacy that fans would never forget. Throughout his career, he gave his fans countless unforgettable moments. Born in Fitzwilliam, West Yorkshire, he first started out as a left winger, playing for the local side, Hemsworth. Like many young footballers, he had big dreams, but his path to success wasn't smooth. He faced rejection from 3 of England's top clubs: Manchester United, Blackpool, and Wolverhampton Wanderers. After so many setbacks, it would have been easy for him to doubt whether he had a future in professional football at all. But football has a way of rewarding perseverance, and Middlesbrough saw something special in him. Unlike the clubs that had turned him away, they recognised his potential, not as a winger, but as a left-back. That decision changed everything. He was accepted into their amateur squad and worked hard to prove himself. By the end of the 1962-63 season, he had broken into the first team, making his debut for Middlesbrough. It didn't take long for others to notice his talent. One man who saw something in Knowles was none other than Bill Nicholson, the legendary Tottenham Hotspur manager. Nicholson had built a side that dominated English football in the early 1960s, and he was always looking for young players to keep Spurs at the top. In 1964, after just 39 first-team appearances for Middlesbrough, Knowles made the move to White Hart Lane for a fee of £45,000. Spurs saw him as the ideal successor to Ron Henry, a key part of their famous double-winning team of 1960-61. His first game in a Spurs shirt was a memorable one, a 2-0 victory over Sheffield United on the opening day of the 1964-65 First Division season. From that moment on, Knowles never looked back. Over the next 11 years, he became one of the most important players at the club. His crossing ability was exceptional, and he created countless goal-scoring opportunities, whether from open play or set pieces. His link-up play with Irish right-back Joe Kinnear became legendary, and together they helped redefine the role of fullbacks in modern football. No longer were they just defenders. They became attacking threats, pushing forward and contributing to the team's attacking play. Knowles' consistency was remarkable. Between 1965 and 1969, he missed only one league match, a testament to his fitness, reliability, and importance to the team. His performances didn't go unnoticed at the international level either. In December 1967, he made his England debut against the Soviet Union. Over the years, he earned 4 senior caps and also played 6 times for the England under-23 team. He was even selected for Young England, a side made up of the country's best young players, to face the senior England team. Despite his obvious talent, he was unlucky to be playing at a time when Leeds United's Terry Cooper was also at his peak, which meant Knowles had to settle for a fringe role in the. As a Tottenham player, Knowles experienced plenty of highs. He helped the club win the FA Cup in 1967, the League Cup in 1971 and 1973, and the UEFA Cup in 1972. His ability to rise to the occasion was never more evident than in one of his final great performances for Spurs. It was the end of the 1974-75 season, and Spurs were in danger of being relegated from the First Division. They faced reigning champions Leeds United in a must-win match. With everything on the line, Knowles stepped up, scoring twice in a 4-2 victory that secured their top-flight status. It was a moment that cemented his status as a true club legend. Unfortunately, injuries would eventually catch up with him. Persistent knee problems forced him to retire from professional football at just 31 years old. His final match came in December 1975, a 2-2 draw with Everton. But his loyalty and service to Tottenham didn't go unrecognised. The club honoured him with a testimonial match against their biggest rivals, Arsenal, a fitting tribute to a player who had given so much to the team. Knowles' legacy extended beyond the pitch. He was the inspiration for the song Nice One Cyril, performed by Cockerell Chorus. The song became hugely popular among Spurs fans and even reached number 14 on the UK singles chart in March 1973. To this day, he is widely regarded as one of the greatest left-backs in Tottenham Hotspur's history, both by fans and football experts. After retiring, Knowles transitioned into coaching and management. He started out as a Yorkshire-based scout for Spurs before taking his first managerial role at Hertford Town in 1976. A few years later, he joined Doncaster Rovers as first-team coach, where he remained until 1981. That summer, he returned to Middlesbrough as assistant manager, reconnecting with the club where his professional career had begun. But in 1983, he decided to take on a bigger challenge, managing a team of his own. He took charge of 4th Division side Darlington, a club struggling at the bottom of the Football League. It was a tough task, but Knowles had a natural ability to turn struggling teams around. In his second season, 1984-85, he led Darlington to an impressive third-place finish, earning them promotion to the 3rd Division. His impact was undeniable. In fact, he remains the only manager in the club's modern history to keep them in the 3rd tier of English football. After a few more years at Darlington, Knowles moved on to manage Torquay United, where he helped develop young talents like Lee Sharp, who would go on to have a successful career at Manchester United. Once again, he took a struggling team and transformed them into a competitive side, leading them to the Associate Members' Cup final and nearly securing a playoff spot in his first season. But football management is an unpredictable world, and after a disappointing start to the 1989-90 season, he left Torquay. However, he didn't stay away for long. In December 1989, he took charge of Hartlepool United, who were stuck at the bottom of the 4th Division. Just like he had done before, Knowles turned things around. He guided the club to safety that season, and the following year, he led them to a 3rd-place finish, securing promotion. It was yet another testament to his ability to build teams and inspire players. But just when it seemed like Knowles was set for another great chapter in his career, tragedy struck. In February 1991, he was diagnosed with a brain tumour. It was a devastating revelation. As he stepped away to focus on his health, Hartlepool's assistant manager, Alan Murray, took over the first-team duties. Sadly, despite undergoing brain surgery, Knowles wasn't able to return. By the end of the season, it became clear that he could no longer continue, and Murray was appointed as permanent manager. Knowles fought bravely, but the cancer was relentless. On August 30th, 1991, he passed away, and that's the story of Cyril Knowles, a true legend both on and off the pitch. His journey was filled with challenges, but he never gave up. From being rejected by top clubs to becoming one of the greatest left-backs in Tottenham's history, his determination and skill made him unforgettable. At Spurs, he helped shape the modern full-back role, winning major trophies and giving fans moments they still talk about today. As a manager, he had the rare ability to transform struggling teams, guiding them to success and inspiring players along the way. He was a fighter, both in football and in life. Sadly, his time was cut short by illness, but his legacy will never fade. His impact on football is still felt, his name still sung by Spurs fans, and his influence on the game still recognised. Whether it was his pinpoint crosses, his leadership, or the way he reinvented his position, Cyril Knowles made football better. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Alan Davies ended his life when nobody saw it coming. On February 4th, 1992, the talented footballer died by carbon monoxide poisoning near Swansea. He was just 30 years old. The world first thought it was a car accident, but the truth was far darker. He had taken his own life. What makes this story even more heartbreaking is that his wife was pregnant with their second daughter at the time. Once a bright spark at Swansea City and Manchester United, Davies seemed to have it all.
That result kept Swansea in the top six in a game which fell away a little after that exciting and entertaining first half. Still a lovely
pass to Alan Davies for their second goal. It seemed a mite for.
So what went wrong for this gifted Welsh midfielder? His story begins with joy. In 1987, Alan Davies arrived at Swansea City ready to make his mark. On August 15th that year, he played his first match for the Swans, a 2-0 win against Stockport County. From day one, fans saw something special in him. Davies quickly became vital to the team. His biggest moment came in the 4th Division playoff final against Torquay United. Davies scored a key goal that helped Swansea win 5-4 on total goals. This victory took Swansea up to a higher division. His talent didn't go without notice. He was named in the PFA Team of the Year for the 1987-88 4th Division. During his first time at Swansea, he played 84 league games and scored 8 goals over 2 seasons. These might not seem like huge numbers, but his impact went beyond goals. He was the type of player who made everyone around him better. His strong play caught the eye of bigger clubs. After a brief spell at Bradford City, Davies got the call that many players dream of. Manchester United wanted him. In 1989, he made the move to Old Trafford, one of the biggest clubs in the world. For a boy from Wales, this was the big time. But sometimes dreams don't work out as planned. At Manchester United, Davies found himself in a tough spot. The team had many great midfield players, making it hard for him to get games. Injuries also kept him off the pitch when he needed to show his skills. The numbers tell the sad story. Just 7 league matches for the Red Devils. Despite the limited chances, Davies still had some golden moments. He scored his only goal for the club in a huge European Cup Winners' Cup semi-final against Italian giants Juventus in April 1984. He also played in both legs of the FA Cup final against Brighton, which Manchester United won. His first game for United came on May 1st, 1982, in a 1-0 win over Southampton. His last was on May 5th, 1984, against Everton. During his time there, he even played against his old club Swansea in a 2-1 victory on May 7th, 1983. While club football was tough, Davies still shone for his country. In May 1984, he started for Wales against England and set up Mark Hughes for the winning goal. This showed his class was still there, even if he wasn't playing much for his club. After his time at Manchester United ended, Davies moved to Newcastle United in summer 1985 for just £65,000. He played 21 league games for them between 1985 and 1987. He also had short loans at Charlton Athletic and Carlisle United. In June 1989, Davies joined Bradford City, where his old boss Terry Yorath was in charge. He played 26 league games and scored once for Bradford, but the pull of his old club was strong, and in 1990, Alan Davies went back to Swansea City. Coming home to Swansea seemed to bring back his best form. His first game for the club was against Leyton Orient in August 1990. During this second spell, He played another 43 league matches and scored 4 more goals. He was happy again, playing for a club where fans loved him. Then came February 4th, 1992. The shock news spread through football. Alan Davies was dead at just 30 years old. He had died by carbon monoxide poisoning in Horton, near Swansea. It was soon clear that this was not an accident, but suicide. The timing made it even more tragic. His wife was pregnant with their second daughter, who would be born just 6 weeks after her father's death. Nobody saw it coming. His manager, Terry Yorath, said there had been no signs that Davies was unhappy. Yorath knew him as a prankster who always seemed fine when asked how he was doing. The football world was stunned. His former teammates Mark Hughes and Clayton Blackmore, both Welsh internationals like Davies, came to his funeral in Manchester. Mickey Thomas, who played with Davies for both Manchester United and Wales, remembered him as quiet but smart and a very gifted player. In the years after his death, dark questions arose. During the inquest of another footballer, Gary Speed, in 2011,
Gary Speed has died at the age of 42. The Football Association of Wales has told the BBC that it appears he had taken his own life.
it was said that both Davies and Speed had been favourites of Barry Bennell, a man later found guilty of child abuse. No claims of abuse were made about Davies, but it cast a shadow over his story. To honour his memory, a special match was held at Swansea's Vetch Field on August 11, 1992. Fittingly, Manchester United came to play in this tribute game. It showed how much both clubs cared about him. Davies is still remembered fondly today. The Swans 100 website calls him a very popular player who was much missed by many people connected with the club. His legacy lives on through his daughters, Katie and Sophie. Sophie, who never got to meet her father, was born just weeks after his death. Today, both daughters raise money for mental health charities in their father's name. Alan Davies was more than just a footballer. He was a man who brought joy to fans at Swansea and showed flashes of brilliance at Manchester United. He was a husband and father whose life ended far too soon. His story is not just about football, it's about mental health, about the pain that can hide behind a smile, and about how we often don't see the battles others are fighting. It reminds us that success and talent don't make someone immune to inner struggles. The next time you watch a match at Swansea or Manchester United, spare a thought for Alan Davies, a talented midfielder whose promise on the pitch was cut short by tragedy off it. And perhaps more importantly, remember to check on those around you, even the ones who seem to be doing just fine.
Davies got a header which sent the ball wide. Well, what a start for him.
The tragic death of Stan Bowles has left fans heartbroken, but how he lived might be even sadder. In February 2024, football lost one of its most dazzling stars when Stan Bowles passed away at 75 after a long battle with Alzheimer's disease. His final years were tough as the illness slowly took away his memories, his speech, and even his ability to recognise old friends. He was magic on the pitch, but chaos followed him everywhere off it. So how did this flawed genius still become a legend? How did a man who gambled away a fortune, wore different boots in the same match, and once kicked the FA Cup off a table still end up with stands named after him? Let's look at the amazing story of Stan Bowles. Born in Manchester in 1948, Stan's football journey began at his hometown club, Manchester City, and what a start it was. The teenager scored 4 goals in his first 2 games, 2 on his debut against Leicester City and another 2 against Sheffield United just 3 days later. Everyone thought a new star was born, but it didn't last. Stan couldn't get along with the bosses at City. He clashed with manager Joe Mercer and coach Malcolm Allison. They didn't like his attitude to training, and Stan didn't like being told what to do. After one fight with Allison in a nightclub and missing a flight to Amsterdam for a game, his days were numbered. Despite his early promise, he made only 17 appearances for City before being shown the door. His career then took him down the leagues. First came a brief spell at Bury where he played just 5 games. Then he found a helping hand from Ernie Tagg at Crewe Alexandra in the 4th Division. Tagg became like a father figure to Stan, though even he saw the problems ahead. If he could pass a bookies as well as he passes a football, he'd be a very rich man, Tagg famously said about Stan's gambling habit. At Crewe, Stan started to shine again, scoring 18 goals in 51 games. This earned him a move to Carlisle United, where he continued to impress. His hat-trick against Norwich City and his cheeky trick of keeping the ball in the air to annoy Roma players showed his talent and his mischievous side. But it was at Queen's Park Rangers where Stan Bowles became a true football icon. In September 1972, QPR paid a club record fee to bring him to Loftus Road. They needed someone special to replace their departed hero Rodney Marsh, and in Stan, they found someone even better. From his first game for QPR, when he set up one goal and scored another with a header, followed by a backward somersault, Stan won the hearts of the fans. Over 7 years at the club, he scored 70 goals in 255 league games. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. It was how Stan played that made him so special. He was skinny with a kit that looked too big, but he moved like a dancer. He would drop his shoulder, cut inside past defenders, and fire the ball into the net. The crowd would roar, and Stan would smile. Football was fun when Stan was playing. The 1975-76 season was the peak for both Stan and QPR. Under manager Dave Sexton, they nearly won the league title, finishing just 1 point behind Liverpool. The next year, Stan set a British record by scoring 11 goals in a European campaign as QPR reached the UEFA Cup quarter-finals. But for England, Stan's story was one of missed chances. Despite being one of the best players in the country, he won only 5 caps for the national team. He scored once, against Wales, but his England career was ruined by his own actions. After being substituted in a game against Northern Ireland, an angry Stan walked out of the England camp before a match with Scotland. This upset caretaker manager Joe Mercer, his old boss from City, who said Stan would never play for England again. Stan did return to the England team under Don Revie, but he was never fully trusted. His final England game came against the Netherlands in February 1977, and it produced one of his most famous stories. Before the match, Stan was already being paid by boot company Gola to wear their boots. But on match day, Adidas offered him more money to wear theirs. So what did Stan do? He wore one Gola boot on one foot and one Adidas boot on the other. He got paid by both companies and didn't care that he looked odd. This was classic Stan Bowles. He lived life by his own rules and didn't worry about what people thought. Sometimes this was funny, but often it was harmful to his career. No story shows this better than his time at Nottingham Forest. After leaving QPR in 1979, following a clash with new manager Tommy Docherty, Stan joined the European champions managed by Brian Clough. It should have been a perfect match, 2 big personalities, but it ended in disaster. When Clough wouldn't let Stan play in teammate John Robertson's testimonial match, Stan walked out on the club. He even refused to play in the 1980 European Cup final against Hamburg. Forest won the final 1-0 without him, and Stan missed his chance to be a European champion and get a winner's medal, all because of a point of principle about a testimonial game. After Forest, Stan played for Leyton Orient and had a happy final chapter at Brentford, where fans loved him just as much as QPR supporters did. In fact, he achieved something remarkable, being voted the greatest ever player by fans of both QPR and Brentford. But off the pitch, Stan's life was often in chaos. His gambling was out of control. He lost around PS 750,000 through betting over his career, a massive sum for those days. He once bet PS 4,000 on a greyhound race and lost. When asked if he regretted spending so much money on gambling, booze and birds, Stan famously replied, "Well, at least I didn't waste it." His rebellious streak led to many colourful stories. He allegedly kicked the FA Cup off a table at Sunderland's Roker Park to win a PS 10 bet with teammate Tony Hazel. He made up fake stories about retiring and taking drugs to sell to newspapers for quick cash. To Stan, rules were just suggestions that didn't apply to him. But in 2015, Stan faced a challenge he couldn't charm or joke his way past. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. This cruel illness slowly took away the quick thinking and sharp wit that made Stan who he was. He moved back to Manchester to be cared for by his daughter Andrea, and by 2020 he needed full-time residential care. His close friend and former teammate Don Shanks described how sad it was to visit Stan as the disease progressed. Stan lost the ability to speak and eventually didn't know where he was. Shanks could only stay for short visits because it was too upsetting to see his friend fade away. The man who once lit up football grounds across the country with his brilliance could no longer remember his amazing skills. Yet even in these dark times, football showed its heart. QPR organised a Stan Bowls Day in 2015. In 2017, they held a benefit match against Bournemouth that raised over £100,000 for Stan's care. In 2022, they renamed the Ellerslie Road stand at Loftus Road as the Stanley Bowls Stand. His friend Don Shanks even ran the New York Marathon at age 66 to raise money for Stan and for Alzheimer's research. After his peaceful death in February 2024, surrounded by his family, tributes poured in from across the football world. His ashes were later scattered on the Loftus Road pitch in a private ceremony, a final return home for the King of Loftus Road. Stan Bowles was a player who represented a different era in football, a time of characters and mavericks who played with freedom both on and off the pitch. He wasn't perfect. His gambling cost him a fortune. His stubbornness cost him England caps and European glory, but his talent brought joy to thousands of fans. Maybe Stan summed up his own life best. When asked about all the money he'd spent on gambling and partying, he said, "Well, at least I didn't waste it." For the entertainment and memories he gave to football fans, few would disagree. What do you think about Stan Bowles and his amazing story? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to hear more about iconic football figures like Stan, hit that subscribe button.
AWD. They would take them and they say, what were we doing this week? No, run them on the moors. They haven't been the moors for months. Next week, we'll run them on the roads. This week, they've not been the roads for ages. Third week, I know what we'll do with them this week. Run them on the sand. They've not been in the sand for ages. Shanks used to say, sand. The next time they build a sandhill on a pitch, we'll bloody train on one.
They called him Crazy Horse. A fearless warrior on the pitch, he inspired a generation. But beneath the bravado, a complex man wrestled with demons. How did the darling of Anfield end up in the dock? Many questions were left unanswered. Let's tackle the conundrum that is Emlyn Hughes. Emlyn Walter Hughes, OBE. Born on 28th of August 1947 in the industrial town of Barrow-in-Furness, young Emlyn was the son of Fred Hughes, a notable rugby league footballer who played for Great Britain, Wales, Barrow and Workington Town. Here's a twist for you. Despite his family's sporting pedigree, young Emlyn was initially turned away by his local side, Barrow. But he didn't let that knock him down. Instead, he joined Blackpool, a First Division side in 1964. Just a lad back then, he made his debut playing alongside football legends like Jimmy Armfield and Alan Ball. He started out as an inside forward, but soon found his groove at left half. It was clear early on that Emlyn was something special. Now let's fast forward to February 1967. Liverpool's legendary manager, Bill Shankly, spotted Emlyn's potential and snapped him up for $65,000. Adjusted for today, that's a whopping $1.49 million. On 4th of March 1967, Hughes made his Liverpool debut in a 2-1 victory over Stoke City at Anfield. A few months later, on 26th of August, he scored his first goal in a 6-0 thrashing of Newcastle United. So, why the nickname Crazy Horse? Well, during a game against Newcastle, Emlyn launched into an illegal rugby tackle on winger Albert Bennett. It wasn't pretty, but it was the kind of move that got him noticed, and thus, Crazy Horse was born. But Crazy Horse had his fair share of legal troubles off the pitch, and one night, instead of celebrating, he was spending a night in court. Make sure to like and subscribe, and now back to the video. Crazy Horse, after retirement, wasn't always smooth sailing for one with such immense talent. In fact, with the shrug of his shoulders, former England and Liverpool captain Emlyn Hughes found himself in a very sticky situation. The occasion was no less than his 55th birthday, but instead of revelling in celebrations, he was in a position where he faced the music in York Magistrates Court. The charge? Drink driving. A far cry from his days of glory, wouldn't you say? So what happened? After a day at York Races where he held an after-dinner speech, Hughes was stopped by the police as he drove away. Now, Hughes was no stranger to the limelight, but this wasn't the kind of attention he'd have wanted. Pleading guilty to drink driving, he was handed a 12-month driving ban and fined $400. But here's the irony. Emlyn was disgusted with himself. "I am absolutely disgusted with what I did. I abhor drink drivers," he said after the hearing. Tough words from a man noted for his spirited antics. By way of explanation, his solicitor, Stephen Winehouse, painted a somewhat different picture of Hughes. In his eyes, Emlyn believed his brother was having a medical emergency when he decided to drive. He thought he was just going to drive 10 or 20 yards along Campleshon Road to his hotel, a short distance, but enough to land him in hot water. The chairman of the bench, Dr. Peter Hogarth, accompanied by 2 other justices, pronounced to Hughes his grave sentencing. He got far less, fined $400 plus $55 in court costs. Such are the circumstances, and barely a few meters driven. The fine was initially set at $600, but was reduced for mitigating factors. So what happened here? Hughes had made a speech and afterwards spent part of the afternoon in a hospitality suite. He intended to walk to his hotel or get a taxi, but when his brother, who, since suffering a stroke in 1997, was in poor health, started to feel ill suddenly, Hughes thought that it was an emergency. He grabbed his friend's car, thinking there was a route over the racecourse to the hotel without hitting a public road. Unfortunately, he was wrong, and what could have been just a short drive turned into a legal headache. Hughes had never been convicted of any drink driving offences before, although there was a conviction for speeding on his record, and to put things into perspective, Hughes covered between 75,000 and 100,000 miles annually in his various pursuits as a radio speaker, after-dinner speaker, and charity worker. Not a bad workload for a man ostensibly in retirement from professional football. Those early years at Liverpool were tough. No sign of silverware in those days, but Emlyn was establishing himself as a real star. He developed into the utility player Shankly had seen for the future, finding himself at left-back and central defence as and when the team needed him. This attribute was to attract the attention of England manager Alf Ramsey, and Emlyn won his first cap in 1969. 5th of November 1969, the Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam, England versus the Netherlands. Hughes at left-back, helping to secure a 1-0 win for England. A good start, but there was more to come. In 1972, he struck his only international goal against Wales, one of 3 that helped England register a 3-0 success in the British Home Championship at Ninian Park. But what was it that truly made Emlyn special? Was it his playing style, fearlessly going into every challenge he met head-on, or was it his adaptability on the pitch and nature that made a positive impact on both teammates and supporters equally? One thing is for certain, you could never discount Emlyn Hughes. Emlyn Hughes, more endearingly known as Crazy Horse, passed away on November 9, 2004, due to a brain tumour, aged merely 57. He fought this horrid little bleeder for 15 months, but gave up the battle at home in Sheffield, surrounded by his family. His wife, Barbara, stated that the last few days had seen his condition worsen. Just a day after playing in a charity match, he collapsed with awful head pains. The docs diagnosed a very nasty brain tumour. From there, it was a relentless battle with chemo. By the end, the vibrant Crazy Horse was nearly immobile, his vision fading, a cruel twist of fate for someone who never missed a day of training in his prime. Let's go back a bit. Emlyn Hughes was no ordinary footballer. He was a force of nature. Nicknamed Crazy Horse for his fearless, close to reckless style, he careered around the field like he had a point to prove, and prove it he did. He could boastfully amass 2 European Cups, 5 League Championships, an FA Cup, and even the crowning accolade of Footballer of the Year. And here's the kicker, he never missed a single day of training, not one. Hughes in his pomp, sporting the Liverbird badge with limitless zeal and relentless vigour. His old teammate Ray Clements described it as a very sad day and that one of the greats of a great Liverpool side is no longer with us. Chief Executive of Liverpool Rick Parry sent deepest sympathies to Hughes's wife Barbara, his children Emma and Emlyn Jr. and the rest of the family. Their spokesman paid glowing tribute to the 100% effort Hughes had given to the cause and his relentless passion for Liverpool FC. But Hughes's story began long before he donned the Liverpool red. He was pioneering from Barrow-in-Furness in 1947, where his father had been a professional rugby league player. Football was in his blood. He started at Blackpool before Bill Shankly took note of the raw talent and recruited him in 1967 for Liverpool. For the next 12 years, Hughes played 657 games for the Reds. Just think, 657 games, really epitomising the strength of pure passion and skill. Internationally, Hughes did not fall very much behind. He gained 62 caps for England, and 23 of these were as captain of the team. The last match he played for his country was in 1980. His journey did not end here, though. Hughes crossed over to Wolves in 1979 and helped them clinch victory for the League Cup the very next year. In the same year, he was given an award for OBE for his services to sport, truly an acknowledgement of the effect he had both on and off the field. After leaving Liverpool, he had brief stints as player-manager with Rotherham and as a player with Hull, Mansfield and Swansea before cutting his playing career short in 1984. Yet Hughes was not one to hide his light under a bushel. He developed a fresh following and a different type of fame with A Question of Sport. With that inimitable voice and infectious laugh, he became a favourite television character, trying to win the hearts of a totally different generation of fans. One of the most marked moments of the show was when Princess Anne was on his team. Typically, Hughes, he abided by no royal protocol and embraced the princess after she gave a correct answer. Weeks later, in true Crazy Horse style, he was to mistake a photograph of the princess and believed it to be jockey John Reid. Before that, I was a footballer maybe 15% of people knew. After it, 99.9% of people knew me. It was innocently done, he would later say. Ah, Emlyn, what a performer. In later life, Hughes developed his own passion for the racetrack, co-owning a Grand National runner. His racing colours, well, they were all a testament to his footballing roots: Liverpool red, Blackpool tangerine, Wolves gold, and the white of the England football. That's it for this one. If you're a fan of sport icons, make sure to check out our latest one on Gary Speed. I'm sure you'll love it.
Norman Hunter's demise was one of the most tragic farewells in football history. Known for his fearless tackling and ranked among the world's best defenders, he was a true legend of the game. But in a cruel twist, it wasn't an opponent that brought him down. It was the relentless COVID-19, a sad end to a remarkable career. In 2013, he was diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, a rare form of cancer that affects the blood and bone marrow. He bravely battled the disease and received ongoing treatment at the Leeds Cancer Centre for the rest of his life. Sadly, in April 2020, Hunter tested positive for COVID-19 and was hospitalised. By April 16th, his condition had taken a turn for the worse, and he was described as severely unwell. Just one day later, Leeds United announced that the legendary centre-back had passed away at the age of 76. His death left a deep void in the Leeds United family, and his legacy, both as a player and as a person, will never be forgotten. Hunter was known for his tough tackling and fierce determination on the pitch, earning him the nickname "Bites Yer Legs." This phrase, which appeared on a fan-made banner, became synonymous with his role as the enforcer in a team full of strong characters. In a touching tribute to Hunter during his 1974 to 1975 testimonial, Leeds manager Don Revie spoke about Hunter's importance on the field. Revie explained that Hunter's main job was to win the ball and quickly get it forward, a task he carried out brilliantly thanks to his exceptional ability to read the game. Revie also pointed out that while Hunter was often seen as a physical player, he was much more than that. He had great ball control and could pass the ball with accuracy, showcasing a skillful side to his game. Revie emphasised that Hunter was not just about toughness. He was a well-rounded player who combined hard-hitting tackles with impressive technique. Although he achieved great heights in his career, his early years, however, weren't easy. He was born in Ayton Banks, County Durham. Tragically, his father, Norman Sr., passed away before he was born. He attended Ayton Banks Primary School until he was 11, and then moved on to Birtley Secondary Modern School until he was 15. Throughout his school years, he played junior football, and one of his teachers even tried to turn him into a right-footed player. But luckily for Hunter, another teacher saw his potential as a left-footed player and encouraged him to stick with what came naturally. Hunter joined Birtley Juniors FC, and after only a few games, he caught the eye of a talent scout from Leeds United. After impressing in a trial match against Bradford Park Avenue Juniors, he was invited to join the Leeds United Juniors at Elland Road. He had just left school and given up a job as an electrical fitter to chase his dream of becoming a footballer. In 1959, when Hunter arrived at Leeds, the club was in the First Division. Jack Taylor was the manager, having taken over from Bill Lambton in May 1959. At that time, Leeds had struggled since the departure of John Charles in 1957, and the team was relegated after the 1959-60 season. But the arrival of Don Revie in 1961 as player manager marked a turning point for the club. Revie initiated a youth development program that would become the foundation for Leeds United's future success. Several talented players emerged from this initiative, including Paul Rainey, Terry Cooper, Peter Lorimer, and Eddie Gray. Hunter's big break came in the 1962-63 season, when Revie promoted him to the first team. He made his debut, along with Paul Rainey, in a 2-0 victory against Swansea Town. Hunter quickly formed a strong central defensive partnership with Jack Charlton that lasted over a decade. Leeds had a solid season, finishing 5th in the Second Division, and the following year they won the title, earning promotion back to the First Division. In their first season back in the top flight in 1964-65, Leeds made an immediate impact. They finished as runners-up to Manchester United, and Hunter's performances were so impressive that he was called up to play for the Football League IFA and the England under-23 team. Leeds also reached the FA Cup final, but were narrowly defeated 2-1 by Liverpool after extra time. Despite the setback, Hunter continued to shine in the league, playing 51 matches for Leeds that season. The next few years were pivotal for Leeds, as they solidified their place among the top teams in Europe. In the 1966-67 season, they reached the final of the Intercities Fairs Cup, but were narrowly defeated by Dinamo Zagreb. But the following year, in 1967-68, Leeds won both the Football League Cup and the Fairs Cup. The League Cup final against Arsenal was a drab affair, but Hunter's strong performance in defence was key to the victory. The Fairs Cup final was a dramatic affair, as Leeds defeated Ferencváros to win their first European trophy. Hunter's reputation as one of the best defenders in England grew. Leeds won their first league title in 1969, finishing 6 points ahead of Liverpool, and Hunter played in all 42 league matches. The following season, Leeds won the Fairs Cup for the second time, overcoming Juventus in a dramatic final. Hunter, along with Jack Charlton, was instrumental in Leeds' defence as they faced some of Europe's top attacking players. In 1972, Hunter helped Leeds secure a 1-0 victory over Arsenal in the FA Cup final, earning his first major domestic cup. The following year, Leeds reached the FA Cup final again, but were surprisingly beaten by Sunderland, who were in the Second Division. But Hunter's determination never wavered. In 1973, Leeds finished the season strong, winning the league championship for the second time under Revie. His crowning individual achievement came in 1974, when he was named the first ever PFA Players Player of the Year. Leeds had gone unbeaten in their first 29 matches of the 1973-74 season, and their strong form helped them win the league championship once again. Hunter's leadership in defence played a crucial role in their success. Leeds' success continued into the 1974-75 season, when they reached the European Cup final. Unfortunately, they were beaten 2-0 by Bayern Munich, but Hunter's status as a top defender remained intact. By the mid-1970s, Hunter's time at Leeds was coming to an end. In 1975, during a match against Derby County, he famously got into a fistfight with Derby's Francis Lee. After Lee had won a controversial penalty, Hunter punched Lee in retaliation, and both players were sent off. The fight, which was shown on Match of the Day, became a defining moment in Hunter's career, showcasing his fierce competitive nature. After making 540 appearances for Leeds and becoming one of the club's all-time greats, Hunter left in 1976 to join Bristol City for £40,000. At Bristol City, he continued to play at a high level, helping them to secure their place in the First Division. He was named the club's Player of the Season twice before he moved on to Barnsley in 1979, where he finished his playing career. Hunter briefly returned to management as player manager of Barnsley, leading the team to promotion in 1981. After retiring from playing, he focused solely on management, but made one more appearance in 1983 due to an injury crisis. Apart from his club career, he earned 3 caps for the England under-23 team before making his debut for the senior team on December 8, 1965, against Spain in Madrid. Hunter played in a difficult period for England, as he was often overshadowed by established defensive partners like Jack Charlton and Bobby Moore. Despite this, Hunter earned 28 caps for his country, including being part of the squad that won the 1966 FIFA World Cup, although he didn't play in any of the matches. His international journey included some notable moments. In the 1968 European Championship, he scored the winning goal against Spain in the qualifying round and played in the semi-final defeat to Yugoslavia. He also made an appearance in the 1970 World Cup in Mexico as a substitute in England's 3-2 loss to West Germany. In 1973, during a critical World Cup qualifier against Poland, Hunter made an unfortunate mistake that allowed Poland to score, leading to England's failure to qualify for the 1974 World Cup. After his playing days, he began a managerial career. He started as player manager at Barnsley, where he guided the team to promotion to the second division in his first season. However, his time there soured, and after a string of poor results, he was sacked in 1984. He then had brief stints as a coach at West Bromwich Albion and as manager at Rotherham United, but his time at Rotherham was difficult, marked by limited resources and poor results, leading to his eventual sacking in 1988. Hunter returned to Leeds as a coach before finishing his career at Bradford City, but after a few years, he was let go in 1990. Despite his managerial struggles, his legendary status as a player remained intact, especially at Leeds, where his contributions were remembered long after his playing days ended. And that's a wrap for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an update. See you next time. Bye.